When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Hello everybody out there in internet land. Welcome to episode 21. Yes, every single day for the last 3 weeks we've been coming to your ears, and really I've been absolutely delighted with the sort of powerhouse conversations that we have been having on a daily basis. And today is exactly the same because today's guest is a powerhouse in being social and being social online. Readily admitting she's been around the block several times, our guest has become the number one go-to resource on how to take LinkedIn to the next level. So this really is an episode that I'm literally straining my ears for the nuggets of gold she might just drop in front of us, because how can you take LinkedIn to the next level? Isn't it just a case of connecting with people that you've never met before? Is it just a case of spamming aggressively, or is there a more subtle approach to connecting and making people want to connect with you? Well, our guest certainly has the rapport building skill ingrained in her psyche after working in literally every corporate role you can think of in her career. There's been customer service, sales representative, sales manager, account manager, marketing manager, director of sales and marketing, vice president and vendor president, owner, consultant, administrator. She's really done the lot. And now she can add podcast interview guest too. So let me introduce to you the lovely, talented New York living lady, no, not Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, but the even better Karen Yankovich. How are you today, Karen?
I'm great. Wow, what an intro. That was amazing. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Well, we're happy to have you here. So, yeah, you live in New York currently. Are you a kind of Sex and the City kind of girl?
Well, probably I don't even think I could pretend to say yes to that. I've spent most of the past bunch of years of my life raising my kids. So, but now that they're grown, I'm actually turning more Carrie Bradshaw than I have been in the past. So now that I have a little more time on my hands. So
I'm surprised that you do have any time on your hands, because being the go-to LinkedIn person, you must be connected to the world. There must be no one who doesn't know you or is connected with you somehow.
Well, I mean, I do know a lot of people, that's for sure, and that's one of the reasons why I love social media, because I love being social, and I'm kind of a geek by nature. Like, my whole background has always been in IT and project management, so social media is the way for me to kind of blend those two, my geeky, talents, with my love for being social, and kind of bringing the social experience online into the tech world. So it's kind of my sweet spot.
Are you naturally social in group scenarios? Because I'm not. I'll be honest. It's been a big sort of thing that people laugh at whenever they meet me. Put me in front of a crowd of 40, 50, 100 people in like a training course, and I come alive. Put me on a mic, I'm very comfortable. Put me in a one-to-one situation, I don't like it at all.
You know what? I'm similar to that, which is interesting, right? Because a lot of people say they don't like to be speaking in front of crowds. I can speak in front of as big a crowd as you want me to speak in front of. It's different when it's one-on-one, and it's certainly something that you need to work at, because especially if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you really need to make those connections, those one-on-one connections, as well as those one-to-many connections. So it is something, if I had my choice, it would not be my top choice of places to connect, but it certainly is a way to really expand your world and expand your horizons.
So what's the biggest crowd you've spoken in front of?
Well, I did the Massachusetts Conference for Women in November at 10,000 people. So that was pretty big, and I was a speaker at that event.
That's an arena, isn't it?
Well, there was a lot of people and doing a lot of things at the same time, but I don't really know how many people I actually spoke to, but it was a massive event and so much fun.
So it wasn't like I thought for a moment you were like Bruce Springsteen in front of like 10,000 people.
No. But it was a large crowd, and I just honestly don't know how many people were there. But I know that's what the attendance at the conference was. So I kind of feel like it gave me reach to those 10,000 people with my name on the billing and, the follow-up and all of that other stuff. So
This is one of the things that has been coming out in many different conversations. People have said to me, literally on a daily basis, that the moment they started getting their name out there, the moment they started connecting, was the moment that their business actually took off. It really sort of emphasizes no man is an island, but in your case, no woman is an island. Have you really had to force it by being social?
You know what? Yes and no. I mean, you don't have to force it, but you have to be consistent, right? If I closed down shop and pulled the shades down for a couple of months, people I think would quickly forget who I am. So it's important that you're consistent with your social media and with your networking. And that doesn't mean it has to be daily, but it has to be consistent. If people expect to hear from you once a week, then it's kind of important that you make sure that they do hear from you once a week.
So how do you make your voice heard above everybody else on Twitter and Pinterest and Facebook and all those kind of things? Because there is so much, I'm now doing this, and I realized very early I've got to get some kind of online presence. But leading up to that, I've been an advocate against things like Facebook. I would look at it over my wife's shoulder and think, why is somebody talking about what they're having for dinner? Why is somebody going, oh, I've been so busy all day, but they've got time to go onto Facebook? And it kind of, I couldn't see the logic of it. Now on a business side, I can, but I'll be honest, I still can't see how you can make your voice more listenable to than all the other stuff out there. So how do you do it? How have you managed to do that?
You know how you do it? You turn that around, and you don't become the person that you want everybody to hear. You become the person that is speaking to the people. In other words, you don't want to always be shouting. You want to be offering help. So for me, Twitter, I love Twitter. I think we met on Twitter.
Yes, we did.
So I love Twitter. And Twitter is a great way. Like if you picked 10 people that you think would be valuable to taking your business to some place, a next level, whatever it is you want, and you kind of just, I'm not going to say stalk, but I'm going to say you're going to kind of pay attention to what they're doing and, retweet them, but retweet them with comments or kind of talk to them. It's easy to get your name in front of people, and you can talk to anybody, right? Even if, Oprah, Bruce Springsteen, anybody. I mean, maybe it's not them that are seeing it, and certainly they probably have thousands of people every day that talk to them on these social media sites, but it illustrates the point that you can reach anybody directly through Twitter. So, and I don't reach out to people and say, buy my stuff, or I'm so great. I reach out and say, let me help you with this. Can I help you with that? Who needs some help with this? And, how do you think about that? Or I comment on their stuff in an authentic way, so that I'm authentically saying, I listened to your show. I loved your show. I never thought of this or that. And that's kind of how you get your name out there, not by shoving it out there, but by bringing people into your world. So it's inbound marketing. It's just keeping your name top of mind by having that consistent presence. And then for me anyway, I like to always be a resource, and that tends to be what brings people then to my products and services, as opposed to me saying, I got the best this or that.
So you are all about building relationships as a start.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons, I said I love Twitter, but LinkedIn is the best and easiest way to forge those one-on-one relationships. Twitter is like one on many, right? You definitely can start to connect on an individual basis with people and get to know people like we did, but there's a lot of noise on Twitter. LinkedIn, there's a lot less noise. It's a lot easier. All those people that I said to retweet and to comment on their posts, nobody's really doing that on LinkedIn. So when you do that on LinkedIn, you're much more noticeable, much more recognizable for helping them out by commenting or sharing their LinkedIn post, because not everybody else is doing it.
Right. LinkedIn is fascinating, and I'm going to come to it. But leading up to that, obviously, this show is Join Up Dots. And it's all to do with the stumbles, the falls, the career path that you chose. Now, every single person that I've spoken to has got to a level of success, or they're working on a level of success. But they can honestly say that there wasn't a great planning involved in there. It was very much that they fell, they were frightened, they tried things, they reacted, and then they found their path. You did a hell of a lot of jobs, and I was looking down that list, and I'm looking at it now because it's still in front of the screen. There's not many other than cleaner, I suppose, that's not on there. Which were the ones that really sort of set you apart from the others and started pushing your career to where it is now?
Well, even the jobs that were sales related were even the jobs, the jobs that were sales related and the jobs that weren't sales related, they were all really about connecting with people, right? So customer service was connecting with people. When I was in sales, it was always technology. I sold data networks, and I could build a mean high-speed data network across the world if you're interested.
I could do with that.
But it was all about really connecting with the people and seeing what was going to be helpful to them, and then building it from there. I was never really the person that sold things that were just like, in volume. I was more about relationship selling. So all of those jobs had relationships in common. That's really where I had what my strengths were. So as I evolved into different jobs and different industries, and some of those were, I had a couple kids, so I left, I came back, I worked from home, I started companies, I did all these different kinds of things. And what I found, by the way, when I started the companies, that once the higher up I got in the company, the less I was doing what I loved, which was connecting with people. I was worrying about payroll and keeping the lights on and what the budgets were, and I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to continue to do what I was doing. So I sold that company and started working as a consultant. And then kind of what happened was, as technology, as things change, right? Social media wasn't really in existence when I was doing all of this stuff. I kind of learned online marketing just because I was helping out a friend who was looking to do some things. And I got really good at it pretty quickly. It came really naturally to me. And what was happening was I was having people come to me saying, will you help me do this? Can you help me do this? How did you get, thousands of Facebook followers? How did you get all these Twitter followers? And eventually I was like, well, when does the wall have to fall in on you to realize that this is what you should be doing? Like, this is what people are asking you for, and you love doing it. So then I just started to shift gears from my consulting practice, from consulting. It was always business consulting, but instead of consulting on their communications network, I was consulting on their marketing, right? And their social media and their marketing. So I kind of just shifted what I was doing, and then it just all started to click, because this is really what I love doing.
So you found your unique self, your authentic self.
Think so? I think so.
Well, I think so as well, because everyone says the same thing. Every single person says once they found that thing that was uniquely them, things started to become easier, and they shifted gears and they started to make more money. They enjoyed themselves, and that really, I keep on coming back to it on a daily basis, but that is the message of the show. If you are in a job that you don't like and you are struggling to get through a day, there's opportunities out there, and you can get another job for a start if you want to remain an employee. I'm not saying for a moment create your own business and go off and set the world alight, but you don't actually have to live in a life of struggle. And it took me years to realise that. I used to travel 2.5 hours up to London every day, and I used to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd leave at 11 o'clock at night, and I'd come back, and it killed me. But I felt that was the only path you could have to build a career. Now I look back on that. Now I join up my dots and look back on that. I think, no, there was too much effort involved. Too much effort must have meant I was on the wrong path. Do you think that?
Yeah, I do think that. And I think that when you look at the things that you would do whether people paid you for them or not, those are the things you should be focusing your career on. Right? Because those are the things you're doing, not because you want the money, but because you love doing them. And then if you look at those things and you think about, how can I monetize that? And that's not a bad thing, right? Because we all have to pay the bills.
Of course, yeah.
So, you think about the things that you'll do, whether people are paying you or not, things that you'll talk about when you're at one of those network events, or even just at a party or with friends or family. What are the things you're talking about, and what are the things that get you excited to talk about? And then think about, how can I monetize those things into, and often we think, well, everybody knows how to do that. And the answer to that is no, they don't. Like, we think that the things come naturally to us, come naturally to everybody, and they don't. So those are the things we sometimes that's the last thing we think about doing for a career, when it really should be the first thing we think about doing.
Do you think everything can be monetized then? So if somebody's sitting out there and they've got some kind of idea in their head of a passion that they love, can they make money from it?
I think I would say yes. I'm going to say yes. And will they? No. Can they? Yes. I think they can. I mean, there's something, everybody needs something, things like, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who, is looking to make some extra money, and she really loves to cook. And I have said to her 10 times, cook for me. I'll pay you. I have no time. Cook for me. Like, I'll give you whatever it is. I'll pay you what the ingredients are, and I'll pay you an extra $50 a week, $100 a week. She's like, that's ridiculous. You can cook for yourself. I'm like, all right, I've offered you 10 times, right? Now she loves to do that. She's looking to make extra money, but in her head, she just can't connect the dots that's her path to making some extra money. Because she just thinks, why can't you just cook for yourself? Everybody can cook for themselves. I can cook for myself, but I don't have time. So how many other people like me are there that might pay her every week to make a couple of meals for them, so that they don't have to, or make their lunches so they don't have to bring, go out at lunch every day if they're running around. So I do think that very often, I can't think of anything that you can't monetize. I'm sure that somebody can prove me wrong, but I think it'd be hard.
Because I don't get your friend's logic on that. Because what's the difference between that, her cooking a meal and you paying for it, and you going to McDonald's? I've never been to McDonald's once, and they've said, "Oh, just have it for nothing." You pay. Yeah. You pay for a service, don't you? She's providing a service.
Absolutely. But she doesn't see the value in that. So she doesn't see the value in that, because it comes so easy to her. So that's what I mean when I say there's so many things the things that we're really good at are often the things that we don't even see should be our path. I don't know, let's say you're a really great, tennis player, and you would play tennis all day long every day. You're not going to make money as a tennis player, but maybe there's ways that you can monetize that. And if you stop and think about ways that you can do that, and it might not be the traditional way by giving lessons or whatever, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's creating tennis parties for kids, or maybe it's, there's just so many angles that you can create, but you think, well, I just like to play tennis. People aren't going to pay me for this because it's my hobby, not my career. So if you take that same logic, you sound like you have an entrepreneurial brain. So for you, it's probably hard to even imagine that. But think about the people that you know and the things that they love to do. They're probably not making a living at them, and they probably don't even realize they can be.
Well, I've only got that brain now. That brain has kicked in the last 6 months, and it's kicked in big time because basically I burnt all my bridges. I decided there was a moment in my life that I had to make a transition to earning my own income. And since then, yes, I think that brain has shifted gear. And I was talking to a chap the other day, and I called it the hustle muscle, where you suddenly think, bloody hell, how am I going to pay the bills? I've got to do this. I've got to connect with people. And that, that's one of the reasons I connected with you. If we went back 8 months, 9 months, I wouldn't have dreamed of doing that, because I would think, oh, Karen Yankovich in New York, she's never going to talk to me. She's never going to sort of be on my show. But when you do burn those bridges, and when you do mentally think, right, the only way that I can operate now is moving forward, then it is a different brain pattern, isn't it? Or whatever it is. It's and the ability to overcome the fear that will stop people taking that little bit of action.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're kind of stepping in and having confidence in yourself, right? It takes a little bit of confidence to reach out to people, and literally certainly me, but everybody that is, more well known for what they do, that they're, you sit them in a room and you can talk to them just the way you talk to everybody else. So it's really just about understanding that we are all the same, and there isn't any, anybody that's any better or whatever than you. If they're busy, they'll tell you they're busy, but maybe they're not, and maybe they'll help you out, so it's always worth the conversation.
How do people overcome that fear, Karen? Because you sound like somebody that really has no fear at all. But somebody who is sitting there listening to this, and they're on the bus or they're sitting in their car or whatever, and they're thinking, oh, I'd so love to do something for myself. But from the moment you kind of go through school, it's you got to get a job, and we're sort of programmed to do that. Now with the internet exploding, or it has been exploding for years, you've got opportunities of being entrepreneurial, which wasn't there before. But there's still that brainwashing, isn't there? That it's becoming an employee, which is the most important thing. How do you overcome that fear to throw that out the window?
Well, I think it helps if you're doing something that you're really good at. And if it's something that you like, it's probably something that you're really good at. So, if you work in a situation where you have a boss and a boss's boss, and there's 13 levels above you, then you're naturally going to feel like you're not, as worthy, I guess, as the people that are above you. But when you are doing something like you said, if you're doing something that supports yourself and you have to say, well, okay, how am I going to pay the bills this month? Then it's kind of just trusting in yourself. And how do you do that? I mean, it takes guts. It takes guts to do what you did, by the way. It takes guts to do what you did. And good for you for doing it. And I hope it works out for you. And it's, I don't know that it's always the right choice to kind of just jump off the cliff, but I've done that a few times myself, so I get it. But just know that if you jump off the cliff and it doesn't work, there's always more jobs. Like it's a decision for today. It's not the decision for the rest of your life. And if things change, and as you can see from my jobs have, a lot of those jobs were with the same company. I didn't have 30 different companies that I worked for, but you can always move on to something that is more suited for you. And I always say, even like, in New York and in the United States, and I'm not sure, probably the world, the economy's not so great. So people are looking for jobs. I never worry that I'm not going to have a job, because I always know that I'll be able to find a way to make some money. And if it means I have to cook lasagna and see who I can sell it to, that's what I'm going to do. Like there's always, if you have the confidence in yourself that you will always be able to provide for yourself, then you'll always be able to provide for yourself. And you just have to have that confidence. So I guess the long answer to your question is you just have to find the confidence somewhere in you. What is it that you're confident in? And then just kind of close your eyes and jump and start doing it. Start volunteering if you have to. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to quit your job to do something. Find something that you love to do and start volunteering to help people with it. And then as you build up some testimonials, and know that's another thing LinkedIn's really good for. It's really good for letting people, recognize you for the things you're really good at. Then you can start to transition to something a little more, a little scarier maybe.
So what frightens you? What frightens Karen Yankovich?
Oh, well, I mean, listen, I support myself. I support my family. So I guess there's always a part of me that, while I say I know I can always make some money, there's always a part of me that is going to say, well, there's always a part of me that worries about that, right? But you know what? I guess what frightens me, I guess that takes me to being a mother, right? What frightens me is that my kids aren't going to have that confidence to do what I think is the right thing for them to do, or what they think is the right thing for them to do, not what I think is the right thing for them to do, what they think is the right thing for them to do, and having the confidence in themselves to really do what makes them happy. You're right. We are in this world, and I'm a little older than you, so the world I grew up in was everybody. There's actually a pretty interesting story. It was the guy that was the CEO of, I think, Hallmark Cards. I don't know if you know the story.
No.
But he used to give talks to schools about, he's the president of Hallmark Cards. So when he would give talks to kindergartners and first graders, he would say, who in this classroom is an artist? And almost every kid would raise their hand and say, I'm an artist. By the time he got to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, almost nobody raised their hand and said they were an artist. Because we teach our kids that you have to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you need to be good at math or science, right? But I think that's shifting a little bit. I think the world is shifting a little bit to really valuing more right-brain talents. So I hope that continues, and that our kids learn that they, if they are an artist, that they should be an artist and be proud to be an artist and be the best artist that they could be, and not be told they shouldn't be an artist.
But, little kids will believe that they can be anything. If you sat in a room with 5-year-olds and you say, what are you going to be when you grow older? They're going to say astronauts, they're going to say doctors, they're going to say all these kind of things. But by the time you get to 16, and it's funny actually, because my 2 youngest ones, my daughter's 8 and my son's 12. When my daughter was sort of like 2 or 3, she used to say, my name is Ashley Can and I can do anything. And so she was so gung-ho, she almost drowned a couple of times because she would just throw herself in the pool thinking that she could swim before she could swim. And we were saying, no.
I like that kid.
Yeah, we were saying, no, you can't. No, I'm Ashley Can, I'm Ashley Can. Now she's 8 and she's already, you can see that negativity. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not very good at that. And it kind of creeps in. By the time they're 16, you sit them and you say, what do you want to do? They can't think of what they want to do. Oh, I don't know. Just get a job, I suppose. Right. And it is sad, isn't it, how those dreams and aspirations that are there to be nurtured as sort of 5-year-olds just kind of get lost in the mix somewhere.
I agree. And I do think it's changing a little bit. I do think that we're being more supportive of our kids in the different things that they want to do. I listen, there's a lot of pushing everybody's, you see a lot of people pushing their kids into different sports and things like that. And I guess that's always going to happen because we want what's best for our kids. And I think we always think we know what's best. But I think and that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about, is helping business owners be be really good at what they love to do. And that's, again, I mean, I always think everything goes back to LinkedIn, right? I want you to tell the world how good you are at things. Nobody's going to tell you that you're better at things than you think they are. You need to have that confidence, and you need to be proud of that confidence. And I think that I'd like to think that I'm a role model for my kids, that they see me just kind of jumping off these cliffs every now and then. And, I think the scariest words my kids ever hear is, how hard can that be? Because the next thing you know, they'll be ripping a wall down or something. I'm like, come on, how hard can that be? And so I'm a fan of figuring it out. And I think that taught my kids to do that. And I think that's why I'm good at helping my clients, because it's like, let's figure it out. If that's what you want to do, we're going to figure it out, and we're going to make you the best at that.
For figuring it out is so simple, isn't it? But it is so powerful as well. I'm doing this on a daily basis. And when the thought come into my mind, and it was purely, I was listening to a podcast of somebody else, and I thought, that sounds fun. I reckon I could do that. And it was just that. But that thought just kept on going round and round and round in my head. And you do figure it out, don't you? You work out how to do these things. The old Napoleon Hill book, Think and Grow Rich, it is all about having that idea and working it until it becomes realised. And
so many people want to help you. Right? There's nobody's, we worry that there's going to be all of these roadblocks, but we create those roadblocks, right? There's so many, especially with the internet, and technology and resources that's so available to us. Short of paying me, if you want to help me set it up, I can set your whole business up using free resources, because I know where they all are, and you can find them without me, but if you want to do it quicker, you can hire me and I'll help you. But there's so many free resources to get your business off the ground and to do what you want to do and to promote it. People are paying still for billboards and radio ads and newspaper ads. And it blows my mind when they're doing that and not using social media, right? I'm like, social media reaches so many more people and it's free. So there's so many free tools to be able to take that idea of yours and help you make it a reality.
But it is a mindset with the internet, isn't it? My father, he's got a brick and mortar car spare shop, and he's 75, and he still, until recently, he was working full time. And I went on a road trip through Italy with him, and he was saying, I'm never going to get out of this shop, I'm going to die in this shop, and it's quite obvious that he possibly was. And I said to him, look, I will take control of this. I will build you the best website you've ever had. We will double the profits of the shop, and then you'll have enough to have somebody else come in and take over from you, And he couldn't see it. He just could not see it. And even though I was doing that for him and working at it, and the profits were going up and customers were coming in that they'd never seen before, and people on a daily basis were going, I never knew you were here, even though I was just down the road, he couldn't see it at all. Because if you are of that mindset, the internet it's a mystery, isn't it? It's a mystery, and you can't see how it's going to impact your life in a positive way until somebody actually demonstrates how it occurs.
Yeah, and even when they do, like you did, it's still sometimes it's hard to see, right? I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day about social media, and I was at, it was a networking event, so I wasn't really pitching him my service, but he was asking me about my services, and I said, well, he had an alarm business. So I said, well, did you pay for Yellow Page ads? He goes, oh, we paid $80,000 a year for Yellow Page ads. I go, well, what are you doing with that $80,000 now? Because I know you're not taking out Yellow Page ads anymore. Put it into your social media. Because you're going to get 10 times more than you ever got out of your Yellow Page ads, and invest in that. And he's just like, a lot of people think of social media the way you started out this conversation, like Facebook. Who cares what I had for lunch? They don't really see the power in using social media strategically. And by the way, if you're not using it strategically, you're just making noise. So, you do have to have a plan, and you do have to have a strategy. But having all of that in place, that definitely can replace that budget that you had for marketing in these ways that just don't work anymore.
So I think I'm making noise. I don't think I'm doing it well enough at all. Is it just because I've got so much on my plate at the moment, I'm not focused on it? Or is there an easy way of being socially proficient?
Wow, that's a big question. There's no easy way. I mean, it's not hard. It's just you just need to step back and see what's working and, what you're doing and how you're doing it. So for your dad, for instance, if he said to people when they walked in the door, and did people buy things at like a register?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say they bought something that's $20, right? He can say to them, listen, anybody that checks in on Facebook gets 10% off their most expensive item. It doesn't cost him anything except the 10% off the most expensive item. And he just told every one of that person's Facebook friends that they're at his store.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to do anything, right? It doesn't take any time out of his day. It's just have a sign, check in on Facebook, check in when you're here and tell on Facebook, and you'll get 10% off your largest order on Wednesdays or something if you don't want to do that every day. And then you're advertising it. And, a lot of these people that walk in have 500 Facebook friends, and they just told 500 people that they're at your father's store, so there's strategies that you can use that aren't necessarily time consuming and that aren't really you making noise. Another really great strategy for people that have in-person businesses. I have clients that do this. They have stores. Let's say they have stores and they have kids that work in their store. So even if it's a deli or if it's a clothing store or whatever, make the job description of the people that work for you, make it a part of their job description to interact on social media. So I have people that their employees have a requirement every day to Instagram one picture and geotag it from the store they work at. So now again, it's the same thing. They're telling all of these people that they're in your store and that your store exists, and they're taking a picture of something. So that may or may not work for everybody, right? But if it's a deli and they're going, check this roast beef sandwich that we have on special today, and they take a picture of it and they Instagram it and they tag it. Now that's going to go to, anybody that happens to be seeing it on Instagram might look at that and go, wow, I completely forgot about that deli. I wonder what else they have, or I need one of those sandwiches. So there's strategies that don't even require you to actually be doing anything. And then the other strategies are involved, how often are you posting? When are you posting? Are you engaging people? Are you having maybe contests? Or, what is your strategy? What's your end goal with your social media? Are you looking to get clients? Are you looking to get leads? Are you looking to get speaking engagements? Are you looking to sell books? What's your end goal? And then you kind of work backwards from there. So
with LinkedIn, which is, where I suppose your name's become famous and synonymous to, how everyone knows Twitter, everyone knows Facebook, but with LinkedIn, as I said in the introduction, as far as you kind of see, it's just that you connect with people and that's it. And hopefully you get higher and higher and higher up the line until you get somebody that you can provide value to, and maybe they will throw a few crumbs your way. Is that a very naive view of it? Is there a lot more to it? Oh my
gosh. Yes, it is. It is a very naive view. And yes, there's more to it than that. You could have sugarcoated that, else. Yeah, no, that wasn't going to get sugarcoated.
You're a New Yorker. You say what you feel.
Come on. You know what? Here's the deal with LinkedIn. You are not looking to talk to thousands of people, and you're not looking to connect with thousands of people. You're looking to connect with your next customer and your next customer after that. It's about connecting with one person at a time. So, so with LinkedIn, there's some value to numbers, right? If you go onto my blog, I did a post recently about, LinkedIn and why the numbers are important. And the reason that is because when you do a LinkedIn search, and when other people do a LinkedIn search, you can only search your first, second, and third degree connections. So you want to have, the more first degree connections you have, obviously the more second and third degree connections you have, and that grows exponentially then every time you connect with another person. So now you're building this network. Now you just have a lot of people, and you're like, what do I do with this? Well, I find that, well, first of all, you have to have your LinkedIn profile. You have to be comfortable with it. You have to be confident that it represents who you are. So there's that confident word again, right? So if I Google your name right now, you have a pretty common name, but if you Google my name, or if you Google, pretty often most people's names, their LinkedIn profile is going to come up pretty high, if not on the top. So you can ignore your LinkedIn profile, but the rest of the world is not ignoring it.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm buying something from you, if I'm spending more than $20 with you, I'm probably throwing your name into a search engine, and your LinkedIn profile is going to come up. So it's your golden opportunity to tell me what you want me to know about you. Right? So that's step one. Fill out your profile, tell the world what you want them to know about you. Then from there, it's so simple, and that's why it blows my mind that people just, they they think LinkedIn is boring. I hear that a lot, but LinkedIn makes me more money than any other social media site, and money is not boring.
Because I'm amazed by that. I really am amazed. I know I'm sitting here listening to you, and everything you're saying makes sense. And when you say you make money from LinkedIn, I still kind of go, how?
Okay, so here's how. So let's say, I'm going to assume you're getting involved. I'm assuming your profile's rocking, and and you're confident that it represents you the way you want to be represented, right? And for you, if you're promoting your podcast, that's what you would want to focus your LinkedIn profile on. So then from there, you might want to join some groups, right? And you maybe want to join some groups on podcasting, or even just on business, general business. Maybe you'll find some guests, right? Maybe you'll find, listen, a lot of people want to get their name out there. So if you join business groups, you'll probably book your show every day, out for 6 months. If you just join some groups in LinkedIn and I'm not saying pitch, do you want to be a guest? I'm saying just start to get active in it. Start to answer questions for people that ask. Start asking people questions. I'm doing this podcast. What kind of topics would you like to hear? Just be really, just be a resource and be genuinely just networking, not pitching, just networking. And what happens when you do that is people will start to connect with you. And as those people start to connect with you, and this is what everybody should be paying attention to, this next tip, is when people start to connect with you, go in once a week, sort your connections by the most recent connections so that the most recent ones are on top, and just send a quick note to the last 5 or 10 that says something like, so nice to connect with you. I was just checking out your profile. I see that you do this. That sounds really interesting. What kinds of things can I help you with? Is there people I can connect you to? Tell me what you're looking to use LinkedIn for, and if I can help you, I'm happy to. And I would say if I send out 10, I probably get 7 back that say, thank you so much for asking. That's so nice. And here's what I'm looking for. And of those 7, I probably turn 2 over into actual phone conversations. I want to take that offline then and see if I can have an actual sales conversation, and whether that's selling my products or whatever it is. Maybe they're looking for speakers or whatever it is. And sometimes what helps them most is I need to hire, maybe I'm hiring them for something. I hired a copywriter that way. I followed up with a note saying, really interesting, and after my conversation on the phone with them, I hired them as a copywriter. So it's kind of like about making those connections on LinkedIn and then taking it offline. But that tip to just drop a note to people after they connect with you saying, thanks so much for connecting. What can I do to help you? You're going to get so many more authentic connections that way. And if they don't respond, then they probably are one of those people that were just connecting for the sake of having, more connections. Yeah. But if they do respond, that they're interested in you.
I'm writing that down as we speak. I'm going to do that tomorrow. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm going to do that. We're recording this in sort of April 2014, and I give that date just in case somebody comes across this sort of 10 years down the line or whatever. But this month or last month maybe, there was a kind of global news story when somebody tried to connect on LinkedIn, and this CEO of a company were quite nasty in response. You obviously saw that story over in America?
I did.
What did you think when you saw that?
I think it's 2014, and if you think anything you say on social media isn't going to be on the front page of, the New York Times someday, then you're naive. Anything you do on social media could be, can be shown to the whole world. So if that's, I can't even believe anybody would write something like that in this day and age.
Because in the story, in case you want to sort of Google this and you haven't seen this, and it is 10 years down the line, a chap, I think it was a chap, tried to connect with a CEO in America, and normally you would just kind of ignore it or whatever, but this lady came back with pretty much a diatribe of abuse, really.
Like, who do you think you are trying to connect with me? I'm so wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the person who received it back just basically took it to the press, and it was a big story. And that woman, it was the centre of the world for a while, wasn't it?
It was. And and sometimes it happens inadvertently, but this was just clearly who this woman is. And maybe she was having a bad day, but she's never going to have a day like that again. I can assure you she'll never do that again, right? So you just have to, if that's how you would treat people in person, that's how you're going to treat people here. That's who you are. But if you're a business owner, you need to be careful about what you write. You can always just connect, or just if people connect with you and you don't want to connect with them, you can just, there's really nice ways. I actually just saw something today. I didn't actually read it, but it was like here's a really nice way how to say no thank you when somebody wants to connect with you on something. You just have to. There's ways to get out of things in a kinder way than.
Just don't call
but it's
them
social
naive.
Media.
Just don't call them naive. That's the nicest way.
Oh, you called yourself naive. I just jumped in.
Oh, I like what you did. I like you. You pushed it back. That was a womanly way. I live in a house full of women, and they can always turn the conversation back on me. So I salute you. You're exactly the same characters across the pond. So if we can sort of, you're LinkedIn now, and you've gone through all these jobs, just joining up the dots again. Where do you think it's going to go now? Where can you see Karen Yankovich in the sort of next 2 or 3 years? Is LinkedIn going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just your thing and you're going to stay with it? Or can you already see sort of natural progressions to the next level?
Well, you know what? I mean, I am a social media strategist. I don't do just LinkedIn, but I pretty much, because of the fact that LinkedIn and Google are so tightly interwoven, and because of the fact that LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to really shine your genius to the world, it's kind of where I make everybody start. So I do think LinkedIn is just going to continue to grow. I think that people are starting to see the benefits of LinkedIn. I have my business coach, actually, I'm all up on her to get on LinkedIn more. And she emailed me a couple of weeks ago and she said, oh my goodness, I offered, I went on LinkedIn, offered, free sessions to 6 people, got 3 sessions, and all 3 of them bought my program. I was like, see, so when people start to play with it, they see the power in it, and it will start to grow. But it is you have to really be you have to, if you think it's not going to work for you, it's not going to work for you. So you have to just go into it with an open mind and do your best to do some networking, connecting there. And most importantly, you need to have a great profile so that when people do come to you, you know that it's representing what you want them to see about you. So that's not going to change anytime I can see in the next few years, right? LinkedIn is still going to be the place where you're going to be able to shine your own genius, where all the other social media sites are not necessarily that same focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is becoming slightly more Facebooky, isn't it, really, with the sort of posts and stuff that's going on? It is.
And now LinkedIn also now gives you the ability to publish there. And that's really, like every time I actually have, not everybody has the ability to publish on LinkedIn, but I do believe they're going to roll it out to everybody at some point. But you basically, it's a publishing platform. So when I create a blog post for my website, I also share that blog post on LinkedIn as a LinkedIn article, and it gives me twice the bang for the buck for that blog post, which just gets my name out to people even more quickly. So they really are starting to do a really good job of positioning themselves as the place that you really want to center your social media efforts on.
So as a podcaster, and I'm releasing an episode every day, then I should be connecting my episodes through LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Which I'm not.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and it's just a matter of click, when you release an episode, you go on LinkedIn and you just create a post like you would on Facebook. Today's episode, and then you can actually use media in your profile itself. So you can have a running list of all of your episodes. You can put it in publications or in projects if you want, but you can literally link each podcast episode right within your profile. If you have pictures associated with the podcast, you can even use those. So there's so many ways to use more rich media in LinkedIn than there was a year ago.
Well, you have convinced me, Karen. You have turned me around in 44 minutes to the powers that social media has got. I can honestly see that I am dabbling. I felt that I was being productive, but I'm not. I'm doing it in the wrong way. And I bet there's thousands and thousands, millions of people out there that's probably saying exactly the same thing. So thank you for that. There's lots of sort of nuggets in gold there, and I'm sure there's people out there scribbling away on their desk, on their arms, or whatever they're sort of wearing at the time, trying to get all that content. Just before we sort of say goodbye, though, the very end of the show is what I like to call the sermon on the mic. And this is when the current Karen Yankovich goes back in time and gets to have a one-to-one with her younger self and drop some pearls of wisdom and a bit of advice of how she should lead her life. So I'm going to play the music now, and as I always do, once the music fades out, I'm going to hand the presenting duties over to you, and it's all yours. This is a Sermon on the Mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the Sermon on the Mic, the Sermon on the Mic.
So, younger Karen and all of you teenagers and 20-somethings that are listening, I wish that you had more confidence as a teenager, or as much confidence as a teenager or as a 20-something as you do now. Confidence seems to be the word of this podcast, and you listen to a lot of people that think that they know what was best for you. And really, if it's okay to have confidence when you know that something is right or wrong for you. It's okay to be strong in those convictions. And you don't have to just listen because people think, they're older than you and they tell you what they think. Even if it's me, if I'm telling you what to do, if you believe otherwise, I want you to tell me why you believe otherwise, because you know best. It's inside of you. What is best for you is inside of you. And if you listen to that as a teenager and really have faith in your ability to know what's right for you and build on that faith, then you are building the foundation for an amazing, amazing life. So have confidence as a teenager, has confidence as you get older, and just grow that confidence. Learn, have the confidence to know that you don't know things as well, to say, I'm not really sure about that. Let me get back and, check and get back to you. That doesn't mean you know everything, but it means that you're confident in what you do know and you're confident in what you don't know, and you're willing to learn, and just grow that natural ability that you have.
Karen Yankovich, it's been an absolute delight to have you on the show. We really have learned so much in such a short period of time. If anyone wants to connect with you, and I'm sure there's thousands of people out there, how do they do it?
Well, if you're interested in LinkedIn, I actually have a free LinkedIn video at www.linkedinstars.com, S-T-A-R-S. So if you go to linkedinstars.com, you'll get a free LinkedIn, I think it's like a half-hour video, and it talks to you more about LinkedIn and the benefits of it. So that's one way you can learn more about some of the things that I do. But my website, just karenyankovich.com, has all my social media icons, and I'd love for you to connect with me. I have a couple of different free things on my website. The first 3 things you need to do on LinkedIn. And actually, I'm not really sure, in April of 2014, when we're doing this, I'm about to change up and put a new free option on my website, which is just how to grab all of your personalized URLs on all of your social media sites. So you're, again, presenting yourself as a professional. So that's about to be released too. So if you go to my website, keep an eye out for that. And that's all free. And then on my website, there's ways that you can work with me. So you can just drop me an email or send me a comment on the website, and I'll get in touch with you, and we can talk about what we can do to get your social media rocking for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Karen Yankovich, thank you so much for being on the show today, just being so open and generous and, of course, talkative. And as I say to all our guests, please come back in the future, because the beauty of joining up dots is it keeps on growing into the future. And I believe joining up dots is the only way to build our future.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice That Every Successful Entrepreneur Practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.